Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. How are you? Is Mother's Day keeping you busy? Is the week keeping you busy? Is just living keeping you busy? You know, that's been something I have noticed this week, is feeling a little bit overwhelmed almost with just the complexity of life when you're trying to do everything safely. It adds that other layer. You know, if you go outside, you want to do your laundry when you come back in, trying to put the mask on, making sure that you wash your hands all the time. Oh my gosh, there's just so much going on. I hope it's been a good week for you. I hope that it's not too overwhelming. I hope it's not making you crazy. I hope that this hour of flower therapy with beautiful things will inspire you and maybe give you a little respite. And I hope that Mother's Day is going well for you. If you're closed, that's okay, that you come to terms, you're accepting it, and you're moving on. If you're open, that you're doing it safely, that you're protecting yourself, your family, your staff, your clients. And if you're delivering, I hope you're doing that safely as well. No contact delivery, ringing that doorbell, dashing. All the things we need to do to make this Mother's Day work. Now, if you're watching me on your phone, remember, if you turn it sideways, the picture will be a little bigger. If the comments are making you crazy and you don't want to see the picture without that, give it a swipe. It'll put it in silent mode, and that way you can see the picture, you can see what's going on, but you don't have all those comments in there. Then when you want them back, kind of put it back. Or watch it vertically, then it puts the comments on the bottom. So you've got choices. Now, we're a little bit tighter today because it's Mother's Day week and people are out working. So in the studio with me is Marisa. So the two of us are going to try to keep up with you all. So if we miss a comment, ask it again, make another comment, answer each other. You all have to be interactive today. Carolyn's working with Jerry, doing Mother's Day preparations and designing. We do have Caledonia remotely and Susie remotely, so they're greeting you and helping out. And they promise to help us if we miss questions, to send us a message. But we'll try to do our best so that we can share flowers with you today. You can see the studio. It's beautiful. You have so many great things. Coral Charm peonies, a favorite. Everybody loves them. They're a little tricky to get. They're just now coming in season and they are available. These are local grown. They're grand. Now when they first come, it's more this color. And then it will fade to this. And then it will fade even more. So it evolves and changes, which makes it really fun to watch how it goes. If you are a fan of peonies, this is your time. Get this variety. They're beautiful together. And then I have one more variety. Yes, kind of a peony paradise. What do you think of that? Don't you love it? 3 different ones. And surprisingly, they hold pretty well. The question is always, how do you buy them and how do they open? And I always recommend buying them as tight as possible, like so. Buy them when they are really tight balls. That way they open out in your possession and give you the longest life for your client. Once they have started to open, like this, you want to keep them refrigerated. Keep them in your cooler. Keep them as cold as possible so that they'll hold. That way they give a good long life for your client. But peony fun. I knew you would love these. I'm loving them. They are just so, so wonderful. So I'll put them back in water until we go to use them. So Marisa, what's going on out there? Anything new and exciting happening?
Well, seeing lots of, oh, my alarm went off. I have to go press the button.
Oh my gosh, that's right. We are all here together, just the two of us, and so we're trying to do all the things. So technology is its own challenge. So we have to reset the camera each 10, 15 minutes to make sure that we don't go dead. If we go dead, you'll know it's because we forgot to push a button at some point. So now the button's pushed, we're live again, and all is well. You know, having to do your own technology in these conditions is challenging. I'm sure you're having that too. So what's happening out there, Marisa?
Yes, so on Facebook I'm seeing a lot of tulips. Let's see, we have Gayla and Wayne, Teacher Shell, Jim, Debbie, Julie, Beatrice, Shane, David, Nora, two Sharons, Jennifer, Nikki, Harmony, Diane, and Janet. And then over on YouTube, I think I had asked this before, but are they able to put tulips in? Because I can't tell, our students are not. I do recognize some names.
So YouTube, if you are there and can add your tulip, please do, because it gives us a clue that you're part of the Tulip Tribe, and it also recognizes everybody that's with you, that you're there with your tulips. So try to add a tulip if you can. Look at those tulips. Don't you love those with the ruffle? Oh, too grand. Okay. So I'm going to start just gathering some things. We said we were going to talk about the future of weddings and what that means. Because the world is changing now, and there's no surprises. We've been talking about this now for quite a bit, and you've been living it now for quite a bit. Many of us have been in a lockdown for almost 50 days. I didn't look up the count right now, but it's been a long time. So we went into lockdown in March, and we've all been adjusting to what that means and how we make that work for ourselves. Beautiful, beautiful lilies, you can see. I think it was last week somebody asked me what was the difference between Asiatic and Oriental lilies, and I had already designed with them and pulled them apart so that I couldn't share with you easily. This one has a broken head, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut that out of there. Well, I'll show it to you first. With an Oriental lily, when they grow, I'll take the leaves off so that you can see it a little better. It has the stem, and then it has a lateral. And then it has more stem and a lateral, then more stem, lateral, and then the final bloom that would be up on top that I broke off, so it's not there. So I'm going to cut that out of there. But that's the principal difference between an Oriental and an Asiatic. Asiatic grow in a radial format where they come up and then all of them radiate from a single binding point, whereas these grow independently on a stem. You can see here, independent, 1, 2, 3, coming up. And that's the biggest difference with the Orientals and how they bloom compared to others. So answering your question from last week. So sometimes you ask things and we don't get back to it till the following week, and that's one of those times. Oh, this one really shows it well. Look at that. You can see one stem, one stem, one stem, one, and then the final bud. So that's a great example of an Oriental growth format.
Man, Jim said that he had bought some stargazer lilies and thought his were huge, and he says yours are massive.
I know, these are such amazing lilies. They're grown locally here, and Oregon Flowers, the Metzger family, they're known for the quality of their lilies, and they are just exquisite, as you can see. And I thought, oh, well, those will be fun to kind of incorporate in here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to incorporate them because they are so huge. But you know what? We'll make it happen because I think that's so grand. So I've got some lilies. I'm taking the leaves off because I want just the blooms. And I'll have to break them down because I also want to make this into a bouquet that would be appropriate for weddings now. You know, the weddings now are going to be a little different. We talked about today being a chance to discuss the change in weddings because, yes, this country is beginning to open up, but it's going to be opening in a very slow, methodical manner. And if there's any surge in infection, we'll have to close back down. So we all have to be very conscious of safe practices and such. So weddings right now, I would classify more as elopement style or pop-up style, where it's casual with just a very few people. We're not seeing the big weddings because it's illegal to have big groups gathered together. They're just now starting to allow groups of 10 in some cities. So being aware of what your community will allow and also what is safe. I know some people have been cheating and doing groups and gatherings, and then they get sick. And that's not good. That's not something we want to see happening for anybody.
And I'm seeing a couple tulips on YouTube, not very many, but I see a few.
There's a few of them in there.
Yep, we have Therese, Marmac, Elaine, and Leslie, and we have Kelly on Facebook wanting to know how she can be part of the Tulip Tribe.
The Tulip Tribe is our people. It's our supporters. It's the people that have been with us in classes. Maybe they're currently in classes. So the Tulip Tribe is our community. Anybody who has taken a class, anybody who has graduated, and then all the members of our Flower Lovers Club. Those three groups of people make up the Tulip Tribe. And we love to have you in there. Why would you want to be in the Tulip Tribe? Because it's an opportunity for education. That's a positive. It's an opportunity for collaboration. That's a pretty huge positive. It gives you access to more. We have, in the Flower Lovers Club, we have 5 private libraries that are all educational that you can't access in any of our public venues. We do have the private group that is for members of our Tulip Tribe that's on Facebook. So there are choices.
Oh, Leanne, this brings a tear to my eye. So Marmac on YouTube says, Leanne is wearing her stones. She's as solid as a rock, and when she's not, her tulips will carry her through.
Oh, Marmac, you all do carry me through. It's so true. I know.
Leanne, I have a tear in my eye right now.
No. Yes. If it wasn't for the tribe, I don't know where I would be right now, because you keep me going. You motivate me to keep providing education, and you inspire me with your care and compassion for each other. You really are an amazing, amazing group of people. Combination, the lilies and the peonies, pretty dramatic. I think as we move forward with weddings in this new world, you're going to see more focus on the flowers. That's where the importance is going to lie, because groups are going to be smaller, and so the focus is going to be on the couple getting married, the flowers that they carry and the little scenery that they put together. It's not going to be the huge flamboyant, but the beauty that they create in their special day. And then on photography and videography, because they'll be sharing more of their day with people virtually than they ever have before, because people aren't going to be able to travel as much as they used to. They're not going to have that opportunity to be together in the real world, so the vital time of the virtual world becomes more and more important. And then as that's important, the importance of having beautiful flowers that people can see and enjoy becomes even more important. It's going to be interesting as we create flowers for people in this time. Everybody's going to be looking at different things.
Leanne, Vicky wants to know how long the peonies will last in that bouquet. And once you answer that, I have something I would like to piggyback on top of that.
So the peonies, since it's a hand tie, I can go ahead and cut them, put them in water, and they should last just as though they were in a vase arrangement. Then once it's out of water, they're just going to last for the moment. You know, you've got a good 3 hours maybe, so the ceremony time, it's not going to last for days out of water. They get too thirsty. But doing it this way as a hand tie, I can then put them into water, then take them to the wedding. They could use them for the photos, for the ceremony, and enjoy them. And they'll be beautiful for that time frame. So what other question did you have, Marisa?
Well, Leanne, I don't know. These peonies are quite sturdy. When we processed these, and I came in the next day, I didn't notice until later on in the day that the vase that they were in was completely dry.
Oh,
They drank
wow.
all the water, and I recut them, and they came right back.
Oh my gosh. They are thirsty little buggers. I will agree with that. You do have to be careful with them because they are so thirsty and they'll just drink, 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 drink. So you found that out firsthand, that's for sure. I love it. No, peonies are surprisingly sturdy. I don't think you have to worry about them being too short-lived. They actually are a very sturdy blossom. And they make up so beautifully. You can see, just adding everything together here in my hand, how gorgeous that is. Now, as professionals getting ready to be providing flowers to people for their weddings in this new format, we have to think about what's going to be beautiful in the pictures, what's going to show well, what's going to be easy to carry, because they're not going to have a lot of people there around. There may only be the couple and maybe 2 or 3 guests for each of them for a less than 10 guest list. Because if we're allowing groups of 10 in this first phase of opening, you really can only have 6 or 7 guests, because if a group of 10, you've got the officiant, and then you might have somebody in charge of the facility. Well, there's 2 people. That means you can only have 8 more people, the couple. Okay, there's 2 people. So now you can only have 6 guests. So it gets really tight to determine what is possible. So bouquets need to be fabulous so that the couple can enjoy them, and then also so that they look great in pictures, but they have to be easy so that they can easily hold them and they don't have to worry about who's going to help them, who's going to take care of things, that it can all just be handled together. It's going to be a tricky time, very tricky time. I do believe that as professionals, we can make it happen. I do believe that it's going to be a good year for weddings in spite of everything. It's going to be totally different though, because people who had planned to get married may have been planning a wedding with 300 people, 200 people, 100 people. Anything more than 2 people is a lot in these days. So they've been planning these weddings and been organizing it, and then all of a sudden that all has to stop because it can't happen. They have a decision to make. Do we just not get married? Do we delay it? Well, they've been planning their whole time to get married. They want to get married. So many people are going ahead and they're going to end up doing a double event. So they'll have their first wedding, which is with just a few people. It may have that less than 10, or it may be down to 25, or it may be 50, but it's much smaller than what they originally planned. And then next year, oftentimes they're waiting a full year because many of the people who are traveling, their flights and such, you can change them around for 1 year without penalty. So they're picking a year out, and then they're going to do a huge reception at that point. And so we as professional florists can work with them so that they get the beautiful flowers for their ceremony, something like this, and then they get beautiful flowers for their reception. And we provide both of them. It all just works out. But it takes some planning and organizing to make that happen. It doesn't happen instantly. As somebody asked me about whether or not, or how long these would last. I would leave the stems long like this. That's longer than you want in a bouquet. But by leaving them long like this, I can take them and set them into a vase of water and put that into a cooler. And then when it comes time for delivery, I would even deliver it in the vase of water. Keep it protected, keep it wet, keep it alive. Then when you get there, take it out, cut the stems short, add a ribbon if you want, but finish it off at that point. Because that just makes it easy, make sure that everything stays alive, and then you don't have those issues. So kind of something to think about there, how you would go about it. So this would be a simple, small, but big, because it's big, bold flowers with the lilies and the peonies. It'd be perfect for today's weddings. You know, there's so many things to think about right now. As you know, we started when we were chatting about this a month ago. How do you talk to brides about their postponement, their cancellation, their rescheduling, their refunds, their payments, their changes? And now that we're kind of moving forward and realizing that this is going to be with us for a while, this isn't a short-term situation, we're having to think about, okay, how do we best accommodate these people and take care of our businesses, take care of our clients, take care of ourselves. And to be honest, I'm really loving the thought of pop-up weddings and elopement weddings, and then a second reception later. It gives us so much opportunity, and it really allows you to show them what you can do to be amazing. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be boring by any stretch of the imagination. Marisa started this for me so that I could just talk to you about it on camera. It wouldn't take too long. But it's nothing more than aspidistra leaves. Let me find one here. So it's an aspidistra leaf that's just been tucked in and then wrapped back around and then tied off. So you can see that. Those of you that took our old wedding floral specialist class, you know, there was a bouquet in there that we did with the aspidistra leaves kind of wrapping all the way around. Now we are rewriting that whole program, and the first part just came out 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, the bouquets to carry. And that one, I didn't do the aspidistra bouquet in there this time. I did different bouquets just because it's time to update and be different. But I did do an armature, different than this. This is a different armature. This is the wire collar that you can get pre-made from the Oasis company, and tuck that in so it almost looks like the center of a flower, and then wrapped it around with the aspidistra leaves, and then just left all the handle down. There's the collar's handle, the aspidistra leaves. So then I can just start adding flowers in. And it's so easy because the base can be pre-done a week in advance. Nothing's going to go wrong with that. You can do it way ahead. In fact, it would be interesting even with these flowers. Look how the colors would be beautiful with that. It would be grand. I'm not going to do that though. Already did those. So questions. What's happening with you all with your weddings and such? Marisa, what's going on?
Well, Elaine on YouTube has a great question. She wants to know when she should order lilies to get them open like they are here.
These lilies came in last Friday, and we kept them out at room temperature. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 days. And that's really kind of, I would plan a good 4 to 7 days. Especially if you have refrigeration, because you get them started opening and then just stop when it's that last little bit. But yeah, I would say you want to get them in quite early, quite early, because if you don't, you're going to be disappointed. That I can promise you. That when lilies want to open, they open. If they don't want to be open, they just don't. I mean, yes, you can fondle them. Yes, you can put them in warm water. You can tint them. There's lots of techniques, but nothing really makes them open full and lush. Marisa.
This is a great question. Okay, Angela wants to know if you would put ribbon on the bouquet while it's in water, because she found that the water draws up into the ribbon.
It does. I tend to do ribbon very last, so I tie things off with bind wire or raffia, leave them in water. Then once I get on site, that's when I would go ahead and add the ribbon, because you don't want it to get soiled or water spotted at all. And plus I like to shorten the stems at that point. So I like to leave them long so that they're just protected, and then go back and shorten them later and add the ribbon in, because it does create issues, definitely. So good question. That's great.
Sharon wants to know if you would crown and glory the bouquets.
I would. I tend to put crowning glory on most everything. The darker colors, so something like this, the really deep, intense hues, it will show a little bit shiny. But I also think that even a little bit shiny is better than dead. So I tend to use it on most things. So yes, definitely, I would. Yeah.
We have another question in regards to the painted fascia. Debbie wants to know if there are certain types of foliage that you generally use that do hold up well when painted.
The harder the foliage, the better. Although you can really paint most anything, and even plumosa, which is certainly not hard, it takes paint color beautifully as long as you hold it back so that it doesn't get sticky all over. But yeah, I like to use Fatsia, Salal, Eucalyptus, Aspidistra, Monstera. So anything that is a hard, smooth surface will take the color well. If you're having troubles getting color saturation that you want, one tip is to use silver first and spray it down with silver, and then come back and spray it with the color over the top of that. And it works kind of like a base coat, and will make it all last just a tiny bit better, in my opinion, and be a more saturated color, a little better. So grouping some tulips together, dropping the peony in, and you can see how easy this particular bouquet is. This would be perfect for the weddings of today where it's an elopement, because it's easy to carry, it's easy to keep it in water, everything's protected. It's going to be a long-lasting bouquet. So it's the type of thing that they could use for the ceremony and then set it in a vase on their sweetheart table while they have maybe dinner, and then take it with them if they're going to a hotel and put it in the hotel room to enjoy there, or take it home. You know, not everybody is going to even continue on to a hotel. Some are just going to go ahead and stay home. And so it's a totally different vibe for weddings right now. Some people, as they're planning the new type of wedding, they're actually making contingency plans based on the unknown. How many people will they be allowed to have? Because every community is going to have their own rules that are going to change. And so some are making a plan that if we can have 10 people, these are the 10 that we'll invite, and this is what we're going to do. If we can have 25 people, these are the 25 that we will invite, and this is what we're going to do. If we can have 50, if we can have 100, and they just have made up guest lists based on the unknown of how many people will I be able to invite. And if you're a professional, when you're talking to your clients, chat with them about this and help them make those determinations, because if they start having the conversation now, then their loved ones will be able to better understand why they don't get invited at a later date, why things have to be a little differently than what they expected. And so taking that time now to have that conversation of, we don't know if we're going to be able to have everybody at the wedding. So based on reality, we wanted you to know that we love you dearly, but unfortunately we can't have that number of people. So wanted you to know we'll be live streaming. We'll have a videographer there, making sure that you can watch it from home safely so that you can be with us, which is a great way to handle the older family members, because the people that are at risk, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, maybe aren't able to come, aren't able to travel. So by giving them the option of being part of the wedding virtually is such a loving gesture. And it's something that you as a professional florist can help them get in their mind, because they just might not think about that yet. They might still be so upset by the fact that their dreams got kind of smashed to smithereens for no fault of their own, that they aren't even able to start thinking yet. Marisa, what else is happening?
Shannon wants to know, okay, so she just bought peonies today, and they're in like the bud stage. She wants to know if you think they'll be open by Saturday.
Definitely. Well, I guess I shouldn't say definitely. It would depend on how tight of a bud, but generally speaking, peonies open in a couple of days if they're at room temperature. There are ways to help it open a little faster. In fact, let's see, I think I have one I could show you. I'll set this down. There we go, set that. If I had a little one like this, and if you go to our YouTube channel, Flower School YouTube channel, and then do a search for Tulip Tuesday. We did an opening peonies tip, and it's on Tulip Tuesdays, how to open peonies. But basically you want to take the head and get it wet so that if it has any sugar or sap on it, you're loosening that. So I take it and I just dip it and swish it around, because what that's doing is washing off any of the sugars and the sap that's in there. Just kind of plunge it up and down, making sure you don't hit the bottom. Don't do that. And then when you take it out, you start tapping. You can pull the green portion back, get the calyx off, and then just keep tapping, and that starts to open it and loosen it. This one's really tight, so it's not going to open right now, but by doing this and swishing around like that, it's going to be totally open tomorrow. I can see it's already starting to pop. I'm not going to damage it by continuing it, but you're just kind of bopping it a bit. I know you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill that poor baby. And you're not. You're just helping him stretch out a little bit, get his little petals going. You go in there and swish it around some more. But that way you can get it to start opening. And then it's going to open for the customer. So go ahead and use it in the bouquet. It'll pop out full and lush. It'll be absolutely fabulous. So yes, you can do peonies when they're really tight like that and be comfortable knowing they'll continue to open without any issues, which is good to know. Okay. Then this little guy, I think I'm going to stop here. I've got enough in there, and maybe add a few more leaves onto it. Bring them in. Grab a couple more.
Leanna, shout out to Jules, who usually has to watch us late, but this is her first time live with us.
Oh, Jules, I'm glad you could join us. You know, so many people are not able to watch live because life gets in the way. I know I've been enjoying a silly little treat for me. There's a little concert every day, 11 o'clock my time. So it's 11 o'clock in the morning, so just before lunch. And I would say I have never made it on time, because all of a sudden I go, oh my gosh, it's 11:15, I'm supposed to be there. Oh my gosh. And today I didn't remember until 12:30. Well, then it was over already. I was so disappointed, but I'll watch it in replay. It'll be fine. But it's fun to be live because you get to meet your people. And so everybody out there, give a shout out to Jules for joining you live today for the first time, because that's pretty much fun. Anybody else that's a first timer? Let us know. Introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Let us know you're a first timer, because the tribe is supportive. We love having you join us. If you have a friend that should be with us, tag them. Say, hey guys, come look at this. It's all about the future of weddings, what's going to be happening, how we can help our clients so that that all works out.
And a few more tulips I see out there, Leanne. We have Bertha and Jennifer and Vicky, Molly, Lisa, Iwa, Maggie. I wrote her last name on accident, but I remember her first name. Annalise, Gracie, Dwana, Debbie, Donna, and then we also have Julie, who also wants to know if there's anybody else out there in Pennsylvania.
Okay, Pennsylvania people, let Julie know if you're from there. I know we have a lot of tulips in Pennsylvania, so give a shout out to Julie. Let her know where you are, who you are, so that she can get to know you. Bertha was just, I just saw the notification with everybody's name that is becoming AIFD this July. And Bertha's name is on there. I'm so proud of you, Bertha. You have come so far. You're doing so much. And she's doing live videos now quite often. I don't know if it's every day or 3 times a week, but it seems like I keep seeing them pop up. And it just makes me so happy. And they're all in Spanish. So for our Spanish-speaking people, that's kind of a treat, because obviously I don't speak Spanish. So there you can see a fun bouquet with the leaves. Tulips and peonies, so fast, so easy, perfect for a bouquet for mom, just drop it in a vase, or cut it down shorter, put a ribbon on it, and it's perfect for a wedding.
I have a great question from Serena. Do peonies open faster in warm weather?
They do. Warmer temperatures will make them open more rapidly. If it gets really hot, they dehydrate, so you don't want that. But I find room temperature, when I'm trying to get them to open, works really well. And then I'll put even warm water so that they've got a little bit almost of a hothouse effect going. And then once they're to the stage you want them, then you stop. You don't want them to keep opening. You want them to stay beautiful. But then you can put them just in normal cold water, put them in the flower cooler, and they'll sort of just hang out and be gorgeous. Oh, but peonies just make me so happy. So happy.
We have so many people from all over the world on YouTube, Leanne. We have Virginia, Calgary, New Jersey, California, Ireland, Indonesia, Philippines, Pennsylvania, and the Caribbean.
Wow. You know, the world has gotten smaller and smaller with the digital ability. Look at these lilies. Do you love them? Thought I would do something a little bit different here. And we'll see if it works on camera. This will be my challenge. It's Leanne, you're gonna try to do this, but we'll give it a shot. When we did the Bouquets to Carry course, we did so many different things because we wanted you all to see a variety of ways to do things. And so we have cascades, we have bespo, we have armature, we have spiral, there's the traditional hand-tied, and then there's wired. But I'm finding with the reality of weddings now, things are going to be changing. Everything's going to be a little bit different. And so sometimes they're going to want just a big, fabulous, grand bouquet because that's what they can have. And then other times they're going to want something a little smaller, a little bit more stylized. So I think you're going to start seeing more wired bouquets coming back into style. It's more labor intensive, but it allows you to do something very delicate, very detailed. So I'm using a 22 gauge wire here, cutting them down. There we go. And what I'm going to do is actually pierce through the petals And those of you that have had basic floral design, what I'm doing is the cross pierce. So cross pierce from one side to the other, and then just bending it straight down. And that way you're capturing all the petals. So when you see the petals start to break off, I'm wiring them so they can't break off. I'm giving that control. Then I'm going to reach back here and get some tape.
And a couple new timers, Amanda and Michelle.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, Michelle. You know, it's so much fun because many of you have just recently joined the Flower Lovers Club as well. And I want to say thank you because it's through your membership in the Flower Lovers Club that we're able to keep doing this. You're supporting free education with that. And you're supporting the Tulip Tribe. You're supporting the teachers. And then many of you signed up for class, the Bouquets to Carry, the brand new course. We've had just, I would say less than a dozen so far because we just rolled it out. And we introduced it to the Tulip Tribe, the group, first, so that you guys had first knowledge of what was going on. We always like to give you a heads up, very first thing. And then a few days later, we released it publicly so that more people can see what we're doing. And now it's pretty much open to anyone. We went ahead and went live with it, and we have it out there. And then so many of you signed up for basic floral design now too. You're using this time where you're in isolation, where maybe your job isn't doing what you wanted it to do. Maybe you don't have the opportunity to do things like go places. So you're investing in yourself and investing in your career and taking flower school. And the teachers are having a ball getting to know you.
Leanne, John on YouTube wants to know if it's okay to design with peonies and foam.
It is. Peonies do perfectly fine in foam. Most flowers do perfectly fine in foam. What you need to remember is that when you use foam, don't squish it. And again, basic floral design, you know that if you squish it, you squish out the water cells and squish it down and there's no water holding capabilities. And then when you put it into a container, make sure that container has a large enough water reservoir that the foam can't dry out. If you've got it just right butted up against to the sides where it's, it's solid around, so it's foam just to the container, it dries out and then your flowers won't live. If you've got a water reservoir around the foam, so you've got this little cushion area, then they're gonna hold just great. They'll be perfectly fine. And in some respects, it's easier to deliver because you've got that water somewhat contained, which in this point in time is going to be very important. Deliverability and servicing of your flowers, people are going to need to have that control. So now what I'm going to do, I'm doing a combination here of glue and wire. So I wired and taped the first bloom using 22 gauge. I'm just setting it here as a holder. Then using the Oasis Floral adhesive, putting just a bit. So now those of you that have had flower school, you've seen me do this with other flowers, but you probably haven't seen me do it with lilies because I don't normally. I use gladiola florets and make the glamelia, or I use roses and make a Duchess rose. But this time I'm using the lilies to make a composite bloom. It would be really perfect for a pop-up wedding or an elopement wedding. You're going to find that people are going to be changing their choices. And some are going to go even bigger and showier on their bouquet because they aren't going to have 50 centerpieces, so they don't have that expense. So they can spend more money on their own bouquet. And then others are going to be looking for something very, very small, sophisticated, and detailed. And as a professional, you can do it either way. You can adapt to that and meet the needs of this new client for weddings of 2020, because there are going to be weddings. There are going to be flowers. There are going to be florists filling those needs. But we all have to adapt to what that means and how that works. Marisa, while I'm gluing here, so I put a little bit of glue on each piece, letting it get tacky, and now I'm going to go start attaching them just by attaching it right to the side, just like so. So while I'm doing this, you tell me what's going on out there.
Okay, I do have a few questions. First, shout out to Jenna, who is a first timer on YouTube.
Hi, Jenna.
And Nina on Facebook wants to know if you take out the pollen on the lilies.
I do, and I did. You can see it's been removed here. The pollen stains terribly. So you want to make sure and remove that and not deliver it with the pollen in. Let's see, I think I have one here with pollen.
You took them all out already.
I've got one that's just starting to open, so I can show it here. Now you had these all prepped for me ahead of time, which was so wonderful. Thank you so much. It makes it easy. So when you have your lily, here's one that's just starting to open. Let's see if I can set this down without losing any petals. They aren't dry yet, we'll see. But you can see the pollen in there. That pollen will stain everything, and even the bloom itself. So you want to reach in and pull that off and get rid of it. You don't want to leave that there at all. If you leave it, you're going to end up with stains. It'll be messy. If you do get a little bit, like there's some pollen on the petal over here, use a pipe cleaner, a chenille, and go in and just wipe, and it'll pull the pollen right off, and it just goes on to the cleaner. If you rub it with your finger, it'll just rub it in, and it'll be stained forever. So you've got to be a little cautious with that. So yes, definitely pull the pollen off. Don't leave that on there. You can see I'm just going back and adding these petals in, getting a fuller lily. Now also, last week somebody asked, well, what do you do when the petals fall off? Because lily petals do pop off sometimes. They are a little fragile. And this techniques, you can use even the ones that pop off because you're just gluing them back on. Now, you cannot do this if you're making an arrangement for Mother's Day to send out lilies. You can't glue a petal back on because it's not going to be getting the water. It's going to die. But for a beautiful bouquet, for a wedding, you can do that because, again, you'll put this into the flower cooler and refrigerate it until it's time, then take it out, and it'll hold just fine for the event. But it is truly just for the event. It's not something that you could maintain for later. Don't you love it? It just makes my heart sing.
Leanne, Shauna is wanting to know, she's asking on YouTube, if you have any tips when you work with woody stems that have sap.
Woody stem with sap. An example would be, because I think of woody stems as usually not having sap. So when I work with woody stems, I tend to break them and whittle. In fact, I think we just did a Tulip Tuesday with woody stems. So you can go back and go to YouTube, do a search for Tulip Tuesday, and there'll be a woody stem there. If there is sap, I suppose wear gloves so you don't get it on your hands. I'm not sure what that would be. So not a great answer for you. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry.
So then, now I've got my lily enhanced with the extra petals. You can see it looks so full and lush. And then I could take, again, Fatsia leaves that have been color enhanced with the Pantone Color of the Year, Classic Blue, and add that in.
I'm having a couple people asking how long that flower that you're making will last.
This particular bloom, done this way, if I spray it down with Crown and Glory, it's just going to last for the day. But lilies are surprisingly sturdy, And it will last throughout the day. So if you take this now and spray it down with Crowning Glory, put it in your flower cooler, let it refrigerate overnight so that it sets, and then tomorrow take it out. It'll be beautiful for 6 hours, 8 hours, most of the day. It's kind of surprising how well they last. I would invite you, when you think of those questions, I invite you to take a moment and invest in yourself and buy a couple stems of lilies. Take them home and do something like this. Play with your flowers. Teach yourself. That's one of the things I always encourage students in class is always, always, always take flowers home and watch them. See how they open. See how they go through their life cycle. See how long they last so that you can really then talk to your customers knowledgeably. So now I've got this started. What do you think? Do you like that?
Well, Therese says, yay, it looks like the Swedish flag.
I guess it looks like the Swedish flag. You're right. I guess I'm in Sweden today. I didn't know that, but you're right. And it is just beautiful. So now I tailored the stems by pruning some out so it wouldn't be such a heavy handle. Now I'm going back and I'm just taping it down. So those of you that have had basic floral design, you learn to make the glamelia. You know how this is done. Now you see it done with lilies, so that's a little different. Those of you that are in the bouquet class, there we just showed you how to do a wired and taped bridal bouquet so you could understand how that is done, because maybe in your repertoire in these new weddings you're going to have more wired and taped bouquets. That's the unknown. We don't really know what our brides are going to be doing. We know they're going to be changing. We know that they're going to be adapting to this new reality. We know we all are going to be adapting to this new reality. Smaller weddings are going to be happening this summer. You're going to see much smaller groups. That means that there's going to be less spent overall because they don't need as many centerpieces, they don't need as much food for people, but it also means that they can focus on things that really make it special. So having fabulous flowers for their bouquet, having a perfect sweetheart table centerpiece, making sure that they have great pictures, making sure it's live streamed so that their relatives can participate from afar, and then planning for that reception that they're going to have later. Really gives us all opportunity to service our clients in a different way than we have before. So now, all I need to do is finish off my handle, putting ribbon, maybe beads, some trim, and it's ready to go. It's a perfect piece. Now, if it was someone with really long hair, maybe they put their hair up. Can you imagine how cool that would be in a bun? So they get married, they carry it, and then they turn around and they put it in their hair. Oh, it's fabulous. Marisa, what else is going on? I'm going to move some things around and make one more bouquet before we have to say goodbye.
Arthur has a great question. He wants to know who decides the Pantone color of the year.
That is a good question. The Pantone color of the year is researched and studied by a group of people from all aspects of the world. So there will be somebody that is from the fashion. There's someone from floral. There's someone from paint. There's someone from furniture. There's someone from light fixtures. I mean, it's just people that are experts within their realm, and then they go through and they forecast the color of the year 10 years out, 5 years out, 3 years out, 2 years out, 1 year out, and then they reach a consensus. Then they convene again and they update and they say, ooh, that was wrong. I think it's going to be this. So they change it all out. And then in December of each year, they announce the next year's color of the year. Are they right on? You never know. there's always some people that hate it. They think it was the totally wrong color, that shouldn't have been that. And then there's others that go, oh, that's perfect. I think they picked a good one. I love that. And you're going to hear everything like that, going, oh, I love it. Oh, I hate it. No, I don't want it. Whatever, you know. It is what it is. And they have enough power that it does have impact on the color of the year, just because people go, oh, well, a Pantone says that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the color, totally. I know when they came out with Marsala for a color, some people just hated that. And it never did have quite the impact of others. This year, the classic blue seems to be a pretty strong one. I think you're going to see it have continued impact. And I'm seeing it more and more in clothes as well as in home decor. And so I think blue was a good call this year. And it looks great with flowers, obviously, as you can see here. So on this bouquet, I grabbed some callas. And I've had these sitting out. They are so huge, so wonderful, so strong. So I took them out of water a couple of hours ago. And even then, they are still super hydrated. If I had taken them out of water yesterday and just left them out overnight, I think it would have been even better. But I didn't think about it. So I'm going to have to be a little careful because I don't really want them to break on me. But I want to mold them a bit, give them a little bit of grace so that I can adjust, let them curve a bit. See how that just gives me a graceful curve? The sheaf style of bouquet is kind of interesting, and it picks up the influence of the circle that is becoming so prominent. You know, it started with people wearing crowns and wreaths and circlets on their head, and then that round form has evolved to wreath and hoop bouquets. In fact, one of the bouquets in the new course is the hoop built on a wire frame, because hoop bouquets are on trend. But sometimes you want something that picks up that round, soft, flowing feel, but without it being a true circle. And so callas can mold that, giving you that crescent feel, that rounded look. So I'm just going to keep fussing with these while you guys talk to Marisa and tell her what else you want to know.
Well, I'm getting the same questions both on Facebook and YouTube, Leanne. They want to know where you got that stand for your glue, and why were you putting Vaseline on your glue as well?
Well, you know what? You got to come to flower school for that. Those are flower school tricks. You can't learn it here. No. So the stand and the glue and that story. Okay, so when you do cold glue, once you open it and you go to put the lid back on, it glues itself shut and you can never get it open again. And it just can make you crazy because then you end up throwing them away and you didn't ever finish using it. Whereas as if you just take the time and every time you use it, put a little bit of petroleum jelly right on the nozzle and then screw the lid on, it'll come off easy peasy every single time. So it's super, super efficient and easy, and it saves the glue. The stand, again, this was one of our Tulip Tuesdays, so go to the Facebook, Flower School YouTube channel. So on YouTube, Flower School channel, type in Tulip Tuesday, and you'll find every Tuesday we have been doing little silly tips that make your life easier. And this was one of them. This is a toothpaste tube squeezer. So it's just like for a toothpaste tube. I ordered on Amazon, and it has this little key thing that you twist it, so then it makes the glue come out, and it keeps this all clean and tidy. You can get it down. Here's one. I didn't use this one because it was almost done, but you can see how we just kept rolling it down to where it's here. But just put it in when it's new. That way you can just always stand it at your station. And then the thing that I liked about this particular tube is that the nozzle actually fits right in there, so you don't lose your nozzle. You can just put it right in, then you've got it when you go back to put it back on. So easy. So that's why we use the Vaseline, and that's why we do that. And that's why flower school is so important, because those types of things, this is what we're teaching all the time. In our basic course, in our advanced course, in the wedding course, we're constantly just sharing with you tips and techniques that make your life easier as a professional florist. Because it shouldn't be hard. And it's not hard if you know the professional skills. I'm going to stop there. You can see where I'm going, getting that beautiful crescent begun, adding a little bit of foliage. I can go back and add more blooms in, tie it off, and it's ready for someone to carry for a bouquet, for a perfect ceremony, for the new weddings. If you want to know more, join us for Flower School. We'd love to have you. Friday, I will be live for the last time from home. Now that we've all moved forward, we've kind of gone through this, businesses are starting to reopen, we're all beginning to find our way. I think it's time to go back to just our Wednesday lives here in the studio. So if you want to join me one last time at home, it'll be Friday, 3 o'clock. I don't know yet if I'm going to stand in the kitchen or sit on the couch. Haven't figured that out yet. But we'll be talking about what's next. Where do we go from here? It'll be a final little conversation. So hope to see you then. In the meantime, thank you for coming to Flower School. Thank you for being part of the Tulip Tribe. Thank you to Caledonia and Susie for helping us virtually from afar. Thank you to Marisa for keeping me on track today and getting everything set up. And thank you to each of you for giving us an hour of your life. I had a lot of fun. I hope you learned a little something, were inspired. Now I wish you all the best as you finish out Mother's Day week, and I look forward to hearing about how it went on Friday at 3. Time to say goodbye and get out there and do something you love. See you next time.